your mother? It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just a trio of feathery brethren weathering any season to see the Eagles eat teams like Scrammy's top with cheese. It's Philadelphia. Bo, Sheila, and Zach kicking it cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some
Birds with Friends.
The early bird gets the worm, but prefers getting turned like a turn on some
Birds with Friends.
Bo, Sheila, and Zach coming at you with stats and things flapping.
We are going to rip out the hearts of other podcasts. We are going to bite off their eyeballs. We are going to start every segment watching the scene from The Last of the Mohicans where the guy takes a bite out of the other guy's heart. We may not be good, but we're going to be nasty. We're going to reflect the blue-collar nature of this city. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends, a post-game pod at 10:07 p.m. East Coast time. Interestingly, Detroit also on East Coast time. Zach, Berman, Bo Wulf, Marissa Morris here to talk about the Eagles' 44-6 dismantling of the Detroit Lions. Zach, a brand new team, these Philadelphia Eagles. As we watch the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, are they ready to make a run at the division?
I think that's a bit premature, but they went 1-0 this week as they intended to do.
Round 8
was
a knockout.
Look, credit to them. They played well. They did exactly what they needed to do. I understand there are a lot of people who say, well, it's the Lions. That said, had the Eagles lost this game, they would have been eviscerated. Plus, after they lost to the Chiefs, let's take the Chiefs out of that for a second. After they lost to the Bucs, after they lost to the Cowboys, it wasn't absolved because of the opponent, right? So you play who's on your schedule that week. The Eagles played the Lions today, and they had their best game of the season. So credit to them.
Well, and as you said, Zach, in the and we got plenty of stuff to get to. We'll get to a runaway victory in Swooper Soarcasting for one of the people here right now. But I think, as you said in your breakdown, it was as if this game was like them going line by line and answering all the different criticisms that have been laid at this team through the first 7 games.
Yeah, this was like the talk radio host's dream game here. They ran the ball. They were aggressive, right? They showed that toughness. They were not the softer team on the field, if you will. But I think the two things
I feel like a few more concussive headshots would have been a little bit more sports radio-y,
but they the commitment to running was the big story in terms of what happened with the actual game, just because this is something that had been a constant point of discussion and source of frustration for Eagles fans this year. And what jumped out to me is not so much that they ran, because I'm not a run the ball guy. I think you need to run when the situation warrants it, but you're more effective passing the ball. That said, just watching them play and watching Jalen Hurts, the way they played today is a much better way to win with Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. So if you take away the philosophy surrounding it and you just look at your personnel, this fits them better. Now, I won't read too much into what the defense did, because that Lions offense is bad, right? And I've said before that this Eagles defense can feast on offensive lines that they're clearly superior than, and add this to that game. I think this defense has been better this season than their reputation suggests. But to me, the big takeaway today was the running game.
Okay, and against that Detroit defense, it was more like it was Detroit,
because there was no D. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
there you
go. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, this is crazy the way that they went about this game and how run heavy they were. Jalen Hurts completes just 9 passes in this game, which is, I believe, only the 5th time this century that a team has had only 9 completions and scored 40 points. Now, obviously, one of those touchdowns came from the defensive side of the ball. Don't get on me, Sean McDermott. But 9 of 14 for 103 yards for Jalen Hurts in this game. And, he made a few plays with his legs that were dynamic, and maybe more so than we've seen in recent weeks. I didn't think that this was like a necessarily impressive game for a 38-point victory. It was about as unimpressive a victory as you can imagine.
Give
But
them some credit, man.
I am giving them credit.
There's no such thing as an unimpressive 38-point victory.
I didn't say it was unimpressive. I said it was as unimpressive as I have seen of a 38.
But that suggests that it's not impressive. It's hard. I mean,
Jalen Hurts was not great in this game.
He was really good at what they needed him to do. Right now, the play that jumps out to me here was still a close enough game. I think it was 17-0. Yeah, it was opening drive, third quarter. Eagles were up 17-0. They started with the ball. They're backed up on a 3rd and 12 on their own 10, is it? And Jalen Hurts runs 20 yards, right? Extends that drive. They end up scoring on that drive. That's a difference-making play.
That was a huge play.
And I thought he was effective out of the play action tonight, or I should say today. So that he did well there.
Out of play action.
Look, I think that if like your takeaway today is that Jalen Hurts wasn't that good,
I'm running through the list. I'm starting at the quarterback. We'll get, it's not my number one takeaway. It's just where my mind starts.
Look, Jalen Hurts made winning plays today.
I mean, come on.
Winning plays.
He handed the ball off a lot. Now, Sirianni did say he checked to a bunch of those runs, so maybe those were winning plays. I don't know.
I want to be consistent here. If we're going to get on him when
you want to crown them, then crown their asses.
if we are going to get on them when they make losing plays, and we did last week, for instance, that Vegas pod, we were all over them for that. When they win by 30 plus points and play as well as they did today, they deserve credit.
Yeah, I'm not giving them credit. I'm just
you said this was as unimpressive as a 38-point win could be, which is like that's
the Lions are just like garbanzo beans on.
I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there. It's who they're
bad. But I'm not saying that like the Eagles. I'm not. You're throwing me on this like the Eagles didn't do anything today. I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
In your open, you said it was an unimpressive 38-point win.
I didn't say that in the open. I will not be gaslit.
Marissa?
Do I have to go back to the tape? We already have one flashback in this pod scheduled for tonight.
Right. I think it was a good win. Any week in the National Football League, on any given Sunday, you never know what you're going to get. But no, I don't know what to say. You got me playing defense now. I feel too defensive. Okay. Well, why don't we at least start with the most important thing that everybody wants to talk about, and that was a just demonstrative performance from Zach Berman, the newly aggressive Zach Berman.
That's not what everyone wants to talk about.
Just like the Eagles reacted to mounting criticism about their play style and changed the way they went about things. They changed their game plan. They started running the ball. They were more aggressive on defense. Well, Zach Berman did the same thing. And after a year of being belittled for his turkey hoarding strategy, he turned the aggressive meter all the way up and came away with 6 things. And of those 6 things, let's see what he got. Avonte Maddox gets an interception, a forced fumble, or fumble recovery. Bingo, bango, bongo. A running back is the game's leading receiver. Did not hit that. Halapoulivanti Vaitai gives up a sack. I don't know if you got that one or not. It says half a sack counts. I don't know what Ridgeway's sack was. I didn't see it. I was down already. So you might have gotten that one. The Eagles or Lions successfully complete a trick play. Now it says here in the parenthetical, flea flicker, non-QB pass, etc., with a positive EPA, fake punt, onside kick, or fake field goal. Because flea flicker was designated already, the throwback from Kenny Gainwell to Jalen Hurts to Dallas Goedert, I would say absolutely qualifies. That's 2. Gardner Minshew is on the field for at least one offensive snap. Bingo, bango, bongo. The Eagles score a season high over 32 points. They scored 44 points, a 4-turkey performance, which may be a Swooper Soarcasting all-time high for Zach Berman. And I don't believe that St. Joe's Prep was mentioned. I got nothing. Shield got an Eagle will score his first touchdown of the season, but it's a 4-1 victory for Zach, who goes to 1.83, ties me 2.5 points behind Shield. What a fantastic performance.
I'm fortunate that the ball bounced my way today. I'm only as good as my next performance, and so we'll see what happens on Thursday's pod. But certainly this gives me something to reflect upon and hopefully build upon going forward.
Now, Zach, do you want to address the drama surrounding the use of turkeys in last week's Swooper Soarcasting?
I don't know if I'm the one who must address it.
Okay.
I mean, look.
Well,
I've been on this podcast now for 3 years, or this is my third season. I understand that you're not just playing the game; you're playing Bo, and so I recognize that. Look, I'm trying to. I don't complain about the officials, and I don't complain about the rules. We just make it work.
Well, here's the thing. You did, toward the tail end of that bidding process, complain that you thought that you had more turkeys left. And it did turn out, in fact, that you had more turkeys left. And so I will apologize as the in-game arbiter, because you had more turkeys left. Now, I will say, I do not want my addition and subtraction called into count. I was not purposefully taking away turkeys that I thought you had. I added everything up correctly in the game. The problem goes back to the beginning. If you want to roll this bad boy back, Marissa. Swooper Soarcasting, another win for Shield last week. He is up to a
becoming so boring. I mean,
2.5 turkey lead on me, 3.5 on Zach. Zach has 38 turkeys to bid with this week. Shield has 28. I have 26. Let's get this bad boy cranking. Now, I heard no challenge flag thrown there. Okay. So I said you had 38 turkeys left. You actually had 47 turkeys left.
Correct. Correct.
So
look, it was an honest
I'm
mistake.
sorry. It's like if there's a bad call on first down and you don't throw the flag, and then you complain that fourth down didn't go your way. I'm sorry. It's too late. I'm the only one keeping score here.
Well, that's not true.
I'm not getting help from you two. Okay. So I acknowledge I made a mistake, but once the mistake is made and no flag is thrown, we must proceed.
Was it an innocent mistake, or
of course it was,
or was it
yes.
sinister?
No,
I mean,
I don't have a sinister bone in my body.
Like, were you worried that my strategy here was to play for a 17-game season, whereas you seem to be like you're spending everything each week? So was it sinister to try to catch up to me, or to try to make me less? Like I'm like the team that is loaded with cap space going into free agency, and you're like Roger Goodell, frankly.
How dare you?
You're like Roger Goodell.
How dare you?
Penalizing.
That is the meanest thing you've ever said about anyone.
I as I think about it, I actually now I feel like Mark Davis, where he's like, well, the NFL always does this to me. You are Roger. You strike me as a very Roger Goodell-ish. No, I meant it in terms of the league is always out to get the Raiders, according to the Raiders. So, anyways,
congratulations to you.
Look,
a dominant performance, and I would say as impressive a Swooper Soarcasting performance as we've ever seen.
I would like to say act like you've been there before, but I don't believe I've been there before. So I am going to try to set a precedent for how I'm going to act when I'm here again.
Very nice. All right, let's take a little break. Hear a word from our sponsors, and then be back to talk about, I guess, the actual game.
When the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. Rollmin ready. Whether you've been in a relationship for years or are just getting started, having the confidence that comes from preparation means you're free to enjoy the moment when the moment comes. Even though you are far from ordinary, the truth is that ED is really common. In fact, 52% of guys aged 40 to 70 experience some form of erectile dysfunction. Go to getroman.com/BWF now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. ED is more common than most people think. In fact, 52% of men between the ages of 40 and 70 will experience some form of ED. The benefits of ED treatment can help you reconnect with your partner and rediscover the joy of sex. Go to getroman.com/BWF today, and if you're prescribed, get $15 off your first months of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this fall. Roman ready.
Finding the motivation to work out and eat healthy has always been a struggle, but that will change once you find MyFitnessPal. Maybe you thought it was just for counting calories. That's not the case. MyFitnessPal teaches you about nutrition and fitness habits and helps create new ones that stick. What's more motivating than that? MyFitnessPal isn't a rigid diet plan. Instead, you gradually learn from personalized data that works for you. And if your version of healthy looks different from mine or someone else's, that's okay. The whole point is helping you find the best path to your goals. Even better is a MyFitnessPal premium membership. You get custom tools and expert guidance to help you reach your personal health goals your way. App customization lets you choose the right settings to help you meet your individual goals. So if you're into macro tracking, low carb, heart health, or whatever, you can stick to it more easily. Premium's deeper nutritional insights help you discover which foods fuel you best. With MyFitnessPal, you're not going at it alone. You have access to guided daily workout and meal plans written by dietitians and exercise scientists, plus support from other members with shared goals and experiences. MyFitnessPal does way more than just count calories. Get the support you need to meet your health goals. Unlock all the amazing things MyFitnessPal can do. Start your premium membership today. Go to bwf.myfitnesspal.com and use code BWF to get a 1-month premium membership for free. That's bwf.myfitnesspal.com, code BWF for a free 1-month premium membership. bwf.myfitnesspal.com.
All right. Back on Birds with Friends. Bo, Zach, and Marissa.
Are you going to address that ad read?
Well, I think it's going to be a different one for the audio listeners.
Okay.
I think the audio listeners heard that ad read on Friday's pod.
Yeah.
But some good reaction from the live chat.
Yeah. Someone in the live chat said they almost crashed their car when listening to Bo's read. So please drive safely if when the ad reads come on.
I was on the road from Ann Arbor to Dearborn yesterday afternoon when I'm listening to our pod, and that ad read comes on, and at first I didn't know what it was, and I started cracking up.
How was Ann Arbor?
Ann Arbor was great. It's one of my favorite college towns. Enjoy coming to Ann Arbor.
You know you love a college town.
Yes, had a nice lunch at Zingerman's. For anyone who knows Ann Arbor,
did you watch the game there?
I did.
That was an incredible game. They probably weren't happy there, but
they were not happy. No, they were not happy at the end. They flooded the streets, disappointed. And then I drove back. I gotta say,
did you visit your high school dorm from the journalism program?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I'd listen to my podcasts on 1.5 or 1.25 speed, and I need to speak slower on 1 speed, on 1x speed, because I do not sound very good on 1 1/4. You guys sound great. So
Oh,
it's
come on.
something I
You
must
gotta
work
talk
on
like
here.
you normally talk. Don't be thinking about the 1.5 speed.
Well,
you could do it with the German accent. They might like that.
Just talk
listened.
really slowly.
His accent came on with the, in the
I'm
accelerated speed.
excited for the pod. Happy to be here.
And my S's. I'm sorry for I need to figure out why my S's pop on the podcast as well.
All your ladies pop your S's like this. No? Not with me?
All right.
Okay. All right. I feel like telling the story of this game is redundant. I feel like if you cared to watch this game, you saw what happened. It was a demonstrative victory. Let's just sort of talk about like what we make of what happened here today. So you wrote about the running game. What did you make of the Eagles' commitment to the running game? What did you make of it being Boston Scott as the 1A running back, and then Jordan Howard and Gainwell just sort of back in his same role? And do you think that this is a sustainable way for the Eagles to approach things moving forward?
Yeah. So first off, I'm curious what you think of this. I suppose I'm turning it around. What do you think Miles Sanders was thinking watching in his house or apartment, whatever it is in the Philadelphia area? What do you think he was thinking?
Well, and it's funny because like Zach Ertz is gone, his second game away. Miles Sanders is out, and this is the game in which they commit to playing 12 and 13 personnel and running the ball. Very bizarre. Yes. I bet Miles Sanders thought it was like a sick joke. Like, what is going on?
He's been waiting for them to run it, and here they are. It's I don't know if ironic's the word I would use, but they have their number 1 running back injured. Their number 2 running back essentially gets demoted. He gets relegated. They go with Boston Scott, who had played 4 offensive snaps before last week. And then Jordan Howard, who has been on the practice squad all year and literally was afraid that he was going to be out of football at age 26 because the Eagles were the only team that went after him. And it was a good combination. And I think this is a testament to your zero, to people who subscribe to the zero running back strategy, who credit the Morris household right now, that it's all about the offensive line, right? Because when I haven't gone back and watched this game yet, but I imagine when I do, I will see the Eagles offensive line just dominating the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
and,
I made Boston Scott the offensive game ball, but like knowing that, it was all the offensive line, and it's just hard to, give one person the credit.
So my big takeaway here is, and I'm not advocating for a service academy offense, right? Like if you look at, and what I mean by that is, if you look at the top rushing stats in college football, it's Air Force. I think Navy's number 2, Army might be number 4 there.
There's another case to be made that a service academy offense is just dropping bombs.
Okay. I'm going to stay away from that one. But
there was a very funny moment pregame. Today was like a salute to service at Ford Field for the Lions faithful. There were a bunch of servicemen and women who were being honored. And there was a very awkward moment when they were interviewing one of the, I believe it was a Marine member. And the in-arena host was like, and of course, after that, you went to the academy and then you went to serve in Fallujah. And he goes, in these very like awkward aside, like, and of course, everyone in here knows where Fallujah is. And then just kept going on. Like, what was that aside, buddy? Also, there's like 8 people here, but
it's a Fallujah flex. But to get back to what I'm saying is that I think what you saw tonight, or I keep saying today, is the difference between 2nd and 10 and 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6. Because when Boston Scott said their goal was not to play behind the sticks, you really saw that they were in manageable second downs, and I think that changed things quite a bit. And because of how ineffective their passing game has been this season, they've too often been in 2nd and 10 spots, right? And when you're in 2nd and 10, then you're obviously not going to be a run heavy team. So I think that they were playing ahead of the sticks, number one, and number two, it makes it so much. I'm reiterating the point from the top of the show. It makes it so much more effective for Jalen Hurts to play quarterback when they look like this, as opposed to when Jalen Hurts is dropping back in the pocket, throwing 40 times a game.
Now, I do think there is something to Miles Sanders probably doesn't follow the hole as well as Boston Scott and Jordan Howard do. Now, those guys may not be as explosive as Miles Sanders is, but I think that has been a problem for Miles Sanders over the past 2 years, and especially this year.
You're right. Miles Sanders is good for the explosive play, the big run, but he might not be good for, taking 4 yards or taking 5 yards or even taking 3 yards sometimes. And that was the big thing that jumped out to me. And when I was going through the play-by-play, I think the Scott and Howard combination only had one first down run of no yards or a loss, right? So when they were handing the ball off on first down to those guys, they were not playing behind the sticks. And that was, I think that was a big difference in the offense today.
Well, and Sirianni said something after the game about figuring out what your strengths are, and finding out what your strengths are as a team. And we know that this is probably not the way that they want to play, not the way that Sirianni wants to play, and not the way that Jeffrey Lurie wants to play. There's a bunch of people in the chat, making the good joke about how Jeffrey Lurie must be furious about this victory because they ran the ball so much. But it's been 7 weeks, and we've talked about the one thing the Eagles do well is run the ball. They were third in rushing DVOA entering this week, right? And that doesn't even include Jalen Hurts' scrambles. So it's a little bit like what took so long. And I think it's the Lions defense is not very good, but there's a case to be made that this is the way that they should have been playing for a while.
It's
the thing that they do best.
Yes. And Jalen Hurts, I think runs better, or the backs run better when they have to worry about Hurts running and vice versa. I keep going back to Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback when he doesn't have to throw the ball that 30, 40 times a game. And the strength of this offense is the offensive line. And these guys have said they prefer run blocking. Now, Marissa would know this better than the three of us, but I'm sorry. Then the three of us when Shield's on, but the two of us now, most offensive linemen who I encounter prefer run blocking to pass blocking because you can impose your will on as opposed to going backwards.
It's the exact same thing as the defense wanting to not be so passive.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to set things on their own terms, right? They want to be the aggressor. They don't want to sit back and react. It's the same thing.
Exactly. So I think that for this offensive line, it benefited them. Now, you're not going to do this every game. And the other thing we should say, too, is the defense plays a part in this as well because they were not playing from behind. And too often this year,
they gave them enough possessions to get a rhythm.
Yes. They've been playing from behind. And that's a difference as well. This is not going to happen every week. And there's some weeks when you need to go possession by possession, or I should say possession for possession with the other team. But the script worked for the Eagles today. I should say this. Sirianni said they came out, his offensive script, 5 of the first 7 plays were supposed to be runs. It didn't work out that way. 3 of their 4 were passing plays because they actually went out. That they went 3 and out on the opening possession. But thereafter, they kind of got into their flow and they stayed true to the script. They ran the ball and it really worked.
All right. Up front, Jack Driscoll injured again. And I think it's starting to be a bit of a concern that as promising as Driscoll is, it's hard for him to stay healthy. It's been several times now where he's left games injured. Replaced by Nate Herbig.
Hand injury.
You know what I'm thinking. I don't think he'd be doing that during a game, though. That's inappropriate.
Jalen Reagor also injured. Jalen Reagor had an ankle injury, was carted off, was declared out during the game. So we'll see what happens there.
3 runs, although one of them was technically a pass on that opening drive, or I guess it was the second drive.
They were really trying to manufacture the injury. I'm sorry, the
maybe touches. That is what they were trying to do, because they knew the offense would be better without him, so they were trying to manufacture an injury.
They were trying to manufacture the touches for him, and this is the best way to use Jalen Reagor. We've said this, that like he's the kind of guy you need to be creative for, and if you want to get him in the space, you need to do these types of plays to do it.
That's true. Devontae Smith absent in this game, basically. Only one catch. He had an ugly drop on the first play of the game, actually. That was not great, but I think it's fair to say that when like the Eagles are designing the passing game, the last 2 games at least, like Dallas Goedert is the number one guy who they are designing plays for. Do you think that's fair?
I think that's fair. I think Goddard's really good. I mean, I think we are seeing that. I think Devontae's better than how he's played. But yeah, he needs to pick it up. I
still want to see more Quez too.
You probably will not. You'll probably frankly see more Greg Ward here but actually the player to watch out for is Tyree Jackson. He'll be activated.
I mean, they completed 3 passes to receivers in this game, if you don't count that little push to
Reagor. Well, they completed 9 passes in the game. So
no, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I should say Jalen completed 9. Did Minshew complete it? Yeah. What was Minshew?
Oh, I think he did.
Yeah.
And that actually means that they completed more than 9 passes. So my stat from earlier was incorrect. I'll have to fix that in the day after. Forgot about the Minshew stuff. Anyway. And also, I guess we should say that Minshew, since before we move to the defense, let's finish up on the offense. So out of hand that Minshew came in. It looked a little bit, his sleeves looked weird. I wouldn't say he fills out the jersey. I don't know if you agree with that, Zach, but that's fine. And then interesting on the offensive line, they pulled Kelsey and Lane Johnson, and we'll get to the Lane Johnson conversation later, and had Mailata move to right tackle and Dillard at left tackle. So that sort of answers what would happen if that happens in a game. And then you had Brett Toth at right guard.
Correct.
And Herbig at center. Okay, let's take a little break, hear from some more sponsors, and then we'll be back to talk about the D in Big D.
You know, Bo will not stop talking to me about Peloton. Committing to make time to work out can be tough, but as he said, with Peloton, you can start building fitness into your routine with thousands of cardio and strength classes that take as little as 15 minutes. The original Peloton bike now costs $400 less, so now is the perfect time to start building the momentum to reach your fitness goals. Sometimes when things get overwhelming, taking care of yourself is the first thing to go. But even if all you can spare is 15 minutes, you can seamlessly fit cardio and strength classes into your routine with Peloton. And there's never been a better moment to commit to your fitness goals because the original Peloton bike is now $400 less. Whether you're looking for some extra encouragement, structured workouts, or just in the mood to laugh, their instructors are there to bring out your best during each class. Peloton isn't just game-changing cardio. Add a strength class to your ride or combine cardio and strength into one workout with Bike Boot Camp to get a total body fitness experience. You can get one subscription for the whole family. The All Access membership is like a family plan for no additional cost. Bring home the Peloton experience for your whole family with access to their entire class library, encouragement from expert instructors, and the convenience of working out from home. They have limitless class variety with an endless variety of live and on-demand cycling classes, live and on-demand strength yoga, and stretching classes off the bike. You'll keep coming back for more. Experience motivation like never before with the Peloton bike, now $400 less. Go to onepeloton.com to learn more. That's onepeloton.com. If you want to pay off your student loans faster, listen up. Earnest was voted best student loan refinancing overall by NerdWallet. Earnest has some of the lowest rates, flexible payments, and an in-house team ready to help. With Earnest, you could change your interest rate, get a lower monthly payment, and you never pay fees, not even late fees. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real-life human at Earnest for help. When you pay less interest, you can put that money towards your goals. With Earnest, it only takes 2 minutes to see what your new rate could be, and there's no credit impact. And right now, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Refinance your student debt at earnest.com/birds. Not available in all states. Once again, you get a $100 cash bonus when you visit earnest.com/birds to refinance your student loan. Visit earnest.com/birds for more details. Not available in all states. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest student loan refinancing made by Earnest Operations LLC, NMLS number 1204917, California financing law, license number 605478853.
All right. Back on Birds with Friends. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Morris. Zach, give me 1 second. I'm trying to pull up the Eagles blitz rate here. I want to see how differently they changed things, how much they changed things against this feckless Lions offense. Is that the worst offense you've seen in a while?
Yes. I mean, they have. Yeah. Look, I mean, they
I would
have,
go back to the maybe the CJ Beathard Niners from the 2017 season.
Actually, Ben DiNucci last year. That was
and this is the Ben DiNucci anniversary, as somebody reminded me on Twitter.
The lack to me.
It's
what
also your daughter's birthday.
That's correct. Jane's birthday, and I guess the Benny DiNucci was actually November 1st. It was the next day.
Yeah.
The
classic.
The lack of skill players. That's what jumps out. And look, Swift did not have a very good game today, but he is awesome. And I really like Hawkinson, but just gross neglect at wide receiver here. And their offensive line's not playing too well, or did not play too well. So overall, and Jared Goff.
It was very funny that there was like a point in this game. Sorry to cut you off.
You're fine.
Where it was like 24-0, but Jared Goff was completing like 80% of his passes.
Yeah. Jared Goff had the Jalen Hurts special where he throws it away on 4th down.
Yes.
Overall,
that was the loudest the stadium got all day when the crowd was booing him for that.
Yeah. So this was your first time at Ford Field. What did you think?
I like the stadium. I like the stadium. I always like a downtown stadium you can walk to. I liked everything about the experience except that there were like, I don't know, 16 people there. I mean, it really is a good reminder that like, this has been a tough couple of years for Eagles fans. Like the team is a tough watch, but like it could get a lot worse.
It's been a tough couple of decades for Lions fans.
Yeah, it's bad.
But they honored Chris Spielman at halftime. Got to see Barry Sanders, was my favorite player as a kid. Barry Sanders speak to honor Chris Spielman. So that was pretty neat. Yeah,
that was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could have guessed that Barry Sanders was your favorite player.
Why?
Well, because you're a Michigan man. You like the Fab Four. Of course, you're gonna like
the Fab.
Barry Sanders is like the most fun.
Who are the
Fab Five?
Yeah, the Fab Four. I don't know who the Fab Four is.
Chris Webber is they took the banners away. They took him off the Fab Five, as far as I'm concerned.
I thought you were ripping on like Jimmy King or Ray Jackson there.
Oh no, Jimmy King, that's my guy. I mean, Barry Sanders is like the most fun guy to watch of all time.
Yes.
He's fantastic. But no Bosco. Yeah, I like Ford Field. I'm in. But I mean, just like the level of putridity that they have to deal with, like year in, year out, it's pretty disastrous. Good way to kill a fan base. Okay, so according to True Media, the Eagles sent at least 5 pass rushers a season high 24% of the plays in this game. Their previous high was just under 24% against the Bucks in Week 6, and they only played now this is according to Pro Football Focus, and it's very imprecise, but it says they were in zone just 57% of the time and man 18 or 17% of the time. So that's a big gap of unidentified coverage. So that's probably going to change. But it was definitely a different game plan. Just anecdotally watching from what we saw from Jonathan Gannon, they weren't in, and this is what we called for against an offense that is bad passing the ball, does not have starting caliber outside wide receivers, has the lowest ADOT in the league, the highest frequency of running on early downs. This is what they should have done. They should have changed their style, and they did. So credit to Jonathan Gannon. The defensive line, as you said, was able to eat in this game. Josh Sweat, 2 sacks in the first quarter. They had a season high 6 altogether. They almost had a shutout. So I'm not taking away credit, Zach, but it wasn't the stiffest competition, but they did what they came to do.
Yeah, and Josh Sweat, man, I mean, he looked outstanding.
I was worried you were gonna, because the one thing about this press box is it's open air, and there's like a huge, like, you could fall off and die potentially if you fell over the front of the, like, where the ledge is. I was worried I was gonna have to hold you back from celebrating, and I wanted to make sure you stay alive.
That is an affront to my professionalism. Okay. There would never be any celebration or cheering in the press box. No, I thought that watching
it was more that, like, how you typed Josh Sweat has a second sack so fast that, like, the steam was coming off the keyboard. I was worried that you were going to then push off the laptop over and it might fall on someone unsuspecting beneath. Fortunately, there was probably nobody there because there were no fans.
You took a photo of me doing my job. That was such an odd thing. I sent
you took a photo of me doing my job.
I said I took a photo of Avante Maddox.
Well, I was there.
So, yeah. Anyway, Derek Barnett.
See you tweeting Josh Sweat. It's very meta.
Yeah, Derek Barnett getting his first sack of the season.
Good for you for acknowledging. Good for you.
Eagles
you don't have
6.
To say it in such a backhanded way.
Eagles 6 sacks overall.
His first sack of the season, week 8. He's on pace for 2 sacks. Great.
6 sacks overall.
Good career, good contract here.
So a good day from the Eagles defense and Jonathan Gannon. Jonathan Gannon, who received a lot of heat during this past week, and has a real tough game ahead of him next Sunday against old friend Brendan Staley. I will get into that this week. Some of the Gannon Staley connections, but
I bet you will.
Yes, but overall, a big game from this Eagles defense.
And some changes at linebacker. Eric Wilson, a surprising inactive in this game. Just another in the line of long failures of free agent signings for the Eagles at that position. And TJ Edwards sort of became the main guy at linebacker in this game, which I think he should be. I think he is their best linebacker. I think he's been their best linebacker. But he and Davion Taylor were the primary linebackers for most of this game. In base, they were there. In nickel, it was the two of them again. Alex Singleton came in like single linebacker situations, which I'm including as a nickel with Jannard Avery because he doesn't count, and a couple snaps of dime. Then later in the game, it was Singleton and Edwards, but Edwards played the most snaps of any linebacker, and I think that was appropriate. And he said, like, I asked him in the post-game press conference, is it like just delivered to you that, like, this is your role this week? Because they've changed it every week, like who's in what package. Or is there like a why explained? And he said there is. Like, you know, we're told, like, this is what we do well. This is why we think it's a good match against this offense. It's kind of funny to just be like, well, you know, we don't think you can run, TJ, so we're not going to play you. But I don't know. He's the only, like, competent guy, like, in the box and like a reliable tackler. I don't know. I think he's the one who should be playing the most.
It's something about this time of year for TJ Edwards. If you think back that Cowboys game last year. So that was November 1st. He had I think it was 12 tackles, sack, forced fumble in that game as well. Because what's the belly button?
I don't know.
What's the joke there?
BWF Zach's belly button. I don't know what that is. I don't remember, but it feels like it's a callback to something.
Obviously, Bo put that one on the screen and not me.
Yeah. No idea what that means.
Bo still has his posting privileges on StreamYard.
So TJ Edwards had that big game against the Cowboys last year, because I remember during the bye week I was talking up TJ Edwards, and then it turned into more of an Alex Singleton situation. I'm very uncomfortable with the chat talking about my belly button, to be honest with you.
I'm over here on mute dying. For our audio listeners, there's questions: innie or outie?
This is such an odd. This is this is an affront to my professionalism.
Do you want to keep them in suspense, or do you want to address the question?
I'd rather just focus on my job covering the Eagles, to be honest with you.
Can you at least confirm or deny that you have a belly button?
I have a belly button, yes. Okay. I was gonna say, like all humans, I've never met someone who does not have a belly button.
Yeah, but how many humans have you met whose belly button you've seen? Do you ask every human? I guess being in a locker room, you probably do see a lot of belly buttons. But we're not in the locker room anymore.
This is such a weird conversation. let's get this. Let's get to the next, or let's finish up with the defense. I thought the back end of the defense played well. Again, Lions didn't challenge them much. I think
it's some nice plays when the game mattered.
Overall, look, if a Dan Campbell team is gonna pride itself at this juncture for playing hard, playing tough, being aggressive, that was not the case.
Marissa's dying at something.
Hashtag BWF outie or hashtag BWF innie. Sorry, Zach. Please continue.
Okay. The Lions were just completely. They
stink, man.
But I kept hearing throughout the week, and
I was really kicking myself. I was thinking about it yesterday. The thought did occur to me that I thought the Eagles were gonna maybe win big, because we were overcorrecting the recency bias to the Eagles game in Las Vegas and the Lions playing a competitive game in what was their Super Bowl against the Rams. I was thinking it was gonna come back the other direction, but I didn't think it was gonna be this bad. I also didn't predict that in the bird lines, so. But it made sense. The Eagles are just a below average team. The Lions are a bad team. Okay, I think we need one more commercial break, and then we can come back and talk a little Lane Johnson, which was an interesting scene.
If you've got a small business, you know that there's nothing more valuable than your time. So stop wasting it on trips to the post office. Stamps.com makes it easy to mail and ship right from your computer. Save time and money with Stamps.com. Send letters and packages for less with discounted rates from USPS, UPS, and more. Since 1998, Stamps.com has been an indispensable tool for nearly 1 million businesses. Stamps.com brings the services of the U.S. Postal Service and UPS shipping right to your computer, whether you're an office sending invoices, a side hustle Etsy shop, or a full-blown warehouse shipping out orders. Stamps.com will make your life easier. All you need is a computer and standard printer, no special supplies or equipment. Within minutes, you're up and running, printing official postage for any letter, any package, anywhere you want to send. And you'll get exclusive discounts on postage and shipping from USPS and UPS. Once your mail is ready, just schedule a pickup or drop it off. No traffic, no lines. Cut the confusion out of shipping. With Stamps.com's new Rate Advisor tool, you can compare shipping rates and timelines to easily find the best option. Save time and money with Stamps.com. There's no risk, and with our promo code BWF, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in BWF. That's Stamps.com, promo code BWF. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
All right. Bo, Zach, and Marissa here to begin to close things out. Did you see the Carson Wentz stuff, Zach?
I saw the highlights.
Lowlights for some.
Lowlights. And I watched the press conference too to see what he had to say.
Oh, what did he say in the press conference?
It's a press conference I've heard many times over.
Wow, shots fired. He blames somebody else.
Wishes he could have that one back. It's always easy to second guess things like that, you know.
He can't help himself on those plays, man. He just he cannot help it. Throw the ball away.
But the interception in overtime, he gave the thing where, yeah, I guess, you know, with the benefit of hindsight, I
could have thrown it to the wide open guy underneath.
I could checked underneath, but you know, in the heat of the game, right, and then or that kind of thing, and it's always the defender made a great play, right? It's never the pass that was made or the decision that was made.
Sione Takitaki made a great play there, but I thought he was open.
But I mean, I actually shout out to Stephen Holder. I read Stephen's column on it. I thought Stephen did a good job. I would recommend our viewers and listeners go check out our Colts coverage. I'll say this, Ken, our Colts coverage is outstanding. The Athletics Colts coverage is top notch. So check all that out. For all
if you don't subscribe to The Athletic yet, theathletic.com/birdswithfriends will get you a nice, handsome deal. Okay, Zach, I guess the last thing we should talk about is the Lane Johnson scene. And I wrote about it a little bit on the day after, but this was interesting. You know, obviously it has been, let's see, it was week 4 when he was a surprising inactive, and there was a lot of sort of speculation and nobody really knew what was going on. He was out with a personal matter. He was out for 3 weeks. He let out a statement on social media at the beginning of last week that he was back with the team. He's dealt with depression and anxiety for a long time. And then this morning before the game, he had an interview with Jay Glazer in which he talked a little bit more about that. This was his second game back, obviously. And I think it was a little bit surprising that he gave a post-game press conference. And I saw him I was sitting toward the far right of the press conference room, and where you could sort of see behind the stanchion where they have that movable backdrop. And you know, Jalen Hurts was talking, and we figured he was going to be the last one. And then all of a sudden, I saw Lane there, and I think we were all surprised. He hasn't talked publicly since returning or since he left, and it was sort of an open conversation about the things that he's been dealing with, not just this year, but for a long time. He said he started developing this anxiety when he was at Kilgore in junior college, and then he was officially diagnosed with an anxiety disorder at Oklahoma. And this is something that has been a struggle for him for a long time.
Yeah. So specifically with what has happened during the past few weeks, he said that in the week leading up to the first game that he missed, he had withdrawal symptoms from the medication.
I think that he started cycling off the antidepressant earlier because he said that he had mentioned he talked to his mom before week 1 that he didn't feel like himself. So I think that's when it began. But yes, by the time week 4 rolled around, he knew that week that he was not in a good place, and he was feeling really severe withdrawal effects from not necessarily cycling off in the correct way.
Yeah, the terminology he used, and I'll defer to you for a lot of this because you are writing about it. So you listened back through the press conference. Everything I'm saying is just from the raw first time we heard it, and he said he went from what he labeled to be mediocre dosage to nothing to nothing. And I give him a lot of credit for his honesty. Like I can't imagine that is easy to do under any circumstances. Certainly when you have such a public job and you're a public figure, I imagine that is even more difficult. But I also imagine that he's helping a lot of people and bringing visibility and attention and humanity and empathy to something that so many people deal with. So yeah, so I respect him for that. But as far as we can talk about it from the big picture, but from the nuts and bolts perspective, He said that he went, so he drove back from the Philadelphia area to Oklahoma. He felt he was okay to return.
He was not in communication with the Eagles during that
Nope.
day, that process.
Yep.
Go ahead.
When he returned, he felt the time was right because he was like past the symptoms that were problematic. Then he said that Brandon Brooks had kind of been acutely aware of what he had been going through throughout these past few years, but this is something that like he made this point to Jay Glazer more than to us, but he implied it with us that this is not something that just popped up the week of the game that he missed. This has been something that has been going on, like you said, since Kilgore College, and since he was diagnosed at Oklahoma before a long time. And frankly, you hear the expression that you don't know truly what's going on in someone's life. I've covered Lane Johnson this is the 9th year I've covered him. I've written many stories about him. I've spoken with him quite a bit. I've spoken with him quite a bit about Brandon Brooks, and he's spoken to me about that anecdote of him throwing up before games. But Lane Johnson's always kind of been like the life of the party, if you will, right? And you saw that during the Super Bowl run, and I remember during the pandemic last year, I did a story on him starting a podcast, and everyone deals with something, but the extent of what he was going on beneath the surface was obviously more significant than certainly I knew, and I imagine the public and probably his teammates knew. So,
well, and it's interesting because Lane has told the story before, like in a joking way, about how when Brandon is throwing up before the game, I'm right there next to him throwing up.
Yes.
And that's just sort of his personality to joke about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably our failing, but we didn't, it's not like we read into that he was struggling with these things to that degree. It was just like, he was sort of telling it as a funny thing that he also, gets nervous before games. And that he has some of these feelings that Brandon does. And I think that's, partly his personality, the way that he sells it and deals with it. And also, just like society turning a blind eye to these things and not paying close enough attention. Right. Obviously.
Well, I don't know if it's turning I don't know if it's turning a blind eye, like from all, I mean, you've been around Lane Johnson quite a bit too. The image that he puts forward it's
sure. And he talked
different.
about, he talked about, he felt ashamed of this because, everybody is worried about getting judged. He talked about in the interview with Glazer how like you finish a game and the first thing you do is go on social media and search your name, and like we got to stop doing that. And I don't want to use like toxic masculinity, but like he talked about the sport and like this gladiator type attitude that everybody has. And this is the same day when Calvin Ridley steps away from the Falcons for his own personal health reasons. So it's obviously a thing that is very prevalent in the sport, if not just in the world. So I thought it was very, very nice. And I don't think it's overstating it to say it was brave of Lane to step up there and talk about it in front of all these people. So,
and I certainly hope productive for anyone and everyone who is listening to it.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where like there's this hulking 6'6", 310 pound all pro with this like husky beard who seems like he's like Paul Bunyan or something like that, and you don't know what's going on inside. He's dealing with this stuff too. So just a good reminder.
And like the job aside, the paycheck aside, like this goes back to what we were talking about a minute and a half ago, 2 minutes ago. Like, you know,
the belly button.
The way someone puts themselves out to the world can sometimes be like a packaged, you know,
Right.
it can be by design that it's put out that way, and it's not necessarily reflective of what's truly going on. So, this is also an example that, you know, when you say you don't know what's going on under the surface, this is very much the case.
I agree. All right, Zach. What else we got to talk about? What's coming up this week?
So
Besides
the trade,
the Staley game. Oh, that's right.
Well, yeah, the trade deadline. I would recommend everyone. I hope you read Bo's Day After tomorrow. I can't wait to read it. But go back to Bo's Day After from 2 weeks ago, when he really got into the trade candidates and kind of the pros and cons, and obviously some of it the Eagles have traded Ertz already.
After, but anyway, although there was one that was talking about it, but not the specific candidates. Anyway, go ahead.
It was the
right before Ertz. Yeah.
It was the Friday. It was the day after the Thursday game.
Right. But then there was another one that actually talked about player by player who they could deal. I think there were two separate things.
Gotcha. Okay. So I think the player to watch, I would say, would be Andre Dillard. Now, I don't know if the Eagles would want
to the Browns.
I don't know about the Browns.
He can't play right tackle.
But yeah, I don't know if the Eagles want to trade a quality tackle, and I think Dillard's showing the makings of a quality tackle. But he would be the one who would potentially have the most market value, but that's probably for a reason. I know there's Fletcher Cox discussion out there. I'll defer to you on this, but it would surprise me if the Eagles restructured his deal and then traded him a few weeks later.
They shouldn't have restructured his deal. They should. Yeah. Well, I mean, they should have traded him a year and a half ago. But
I know there were there was speculation when Eric Wilson was benched today that perhaps they're trying to keep him healthy for a trade. I think this was more performance related
at best.
Yeah. But in the vein of Eric Wilson being traded, or in the spirit of Eric Wilson being traded, players on these rental deals, whether it's Steven Nelson, I can't imagine you're going to get much for Ryan Kerrigan. They also kind of need DN depth, but players on expiring deals could be potential trade candidates. You put in as a wild card in your story a few weeks ago, Miles Sanders. Now that he's injured, I don't foresee that occurring. But I would say if someone is moved for something of value, I would guess that it is it's Andre Dillard.
And do you think the Eagles could make any kind of acquisition?
No, I would be very surprised if they were buyers. The only situation I can see them being buyers is someone who's on a contract beyond this year, who they think can be part of their core in 2022, and they just want to get him in early. I was just going to say real quick, and this kind of crosses us over to Marissa's other podcasts, that the Jets were so aggressive to trade for Joe Flacco, and then Mike White turns out to be like a really productive quarterback for them, right?
They might be trading Zach Wilson. Talk about watching. You're talking about Miles Sanders.
Mrs. Wilson.
Yeah, Miles Sanders watching at home today. Imagine what Zach Wilson felt like watching at home today.
Did Salah say something like, "Yeah, can't rule it out that this guy could be the quarterback moving forward"?
They were chanting his name at MetLife Stadium, like pretty crazy. Connor actually just posted his column. I haven't read it yet, but if anyone does want to see what Mike White said, I will give. Got to treat my podcast fairly and give him a plug too. But yeah, I couldn't believe the score of that game, and honestly, I was very happy because we needed AFC North standings are pretty tight these days. So a Bengals loss was pretty good. And for us over here,
I was going to say, Zach, the one spot I could see the Eagles making an addition, if they're just looking for a warm body, for like a conditional seventh or whatever, is if they could just find somebody who they can play at like 3-4 D end, so that they can open up Josh Sweat from not having to play it when they're in that base defense, and he can play on the outside. I think they don't have anybody else there right now. Although Milton Williams had a good game today, maybe he can start factoring in there more. But I feel like that's a cheap replacement level player that they could potentially add.
I mean, if there's a player that I would look at if I was Howie and I'm sitting there with Jeffrey and with Nick and we're talking about the trade deadline and Jeffrey says is there someone you want to add? I would say I don't know if Derek Barnett's going to be around next year, right?
They restructured his deal too.
Yeah, but that's more for, I believe, just the cap savings of it, right? Like he has no years left on the deal.
Okay.
He's still a free agent after this year. They just added the
right. I thought that it was going to be trading him.
Yeah, no. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about trade.
I see.
I'm just saying if you can get like a 24-year-old defensive end who can be your third defensive end this year, and then you can kind of have him with Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat next year, because you can go into the draft saying you would love to take a DN in the top 10.
A Thibodeau.
Yeah. But
what's the Purdue guy's name? Sir Laftis?
Karlaftis.
Karlaftis. Yeah.
Or Aiden Hutchinson. So it's a really good defensive line class, or defensive player class, I should say. But I would say defensive end is a spot that you can never roll them out on. But I still think they are sellers more than buyers.
Okay. All right.
Wait, so what else this week? So the trade deadline.
This is going to be our only chance to see Justin Herbert. We only get to see him once every 4 years, potentially. It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the schedule situation changed now. So you play a team from another conference.
Right.
Yes. So we don't know that, but most likely this is our only chance seeing him for quite some time. And a big thing to watch is this. The Eagles obviously ran the ball quite a bit today. The Chargers have the worst run defense in the NFL. Part of it's by design, like Sheil has talked about. They want you to run. They invite you to run. It's a similar concept to what the Eagles have done. But going into this week, they've allowed about 17 more rushing yards than the number 2, I guess the number 31 run defense in the NFL. So if there's Nick Sirianni's big point today was that, you do need to do what you do well, but you really need to kind of go based on what the opposing defense is doing, and you plan your game plan for the opposing defense. Next week would be another week when it would make sense for them to run the ball. So pay attention to that.
Sounds good. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. The Eagles 44-6 over the Detroit Lions. And Zach with a demonstrative Swooper Soarcasting victory that he hopes will carry him into the second half of the season. For Sheil and Marissa and Zach, I'm Bo. Thanks for listening. For those of you in the live chat, thanks for watching. You are the sickest of the sickos, and we appreciate it. For everybody, we'll talk to you on Tuesday at 8 o'clock on YouTube. And as always, we love you.